In the quiet hours of Saturday morning in South Africa, on July 11th, 2026, the world of football was shaken by news that would leave fans, fellow players, and everyone who had followed his journey reeling with shock and grief. Jaden Adams, the South African midfielder who had just played for his country at the 2026 FIFA World Cup, who had started in all three of South Africa's group matches, who had played through the devastating loss of his grandmother just hours before a crucial match against Czechia, and who had become one of the most promising young talents in African football, has died at the age of 25, leaving behind a question that would haunt everyone who knew him and everyone who loved his play. Why? This is the story of Jaden Adams, his life, his dreams, his struggles, and the tragedy that cut short a career that was just beginning to take flight. The circumstances surrounding Jaden Adams' death remain unclear, as no official cause of death has been confirmed by authorities, his family, or his club. The South African Football Association and Mamelodi Sundowns confirmed his passing on July 11th, 2026, but they have not released specific details about how he died. What we do know is that on July 11th, 2026, the football world lost one of its most promising young talents, one of the players who had represented South Africa at the highest level, one of the midfielders who had played through personal tragedy to help his country secure a crucial draw at the World Cup, and one of the young men who had inspired a generation of footballers in South Africa and around the world. Jaden Adams was born on May 5th, 2001, in Cape Town, Western Cape, South Africa, a city that would become the foundation for everything he achieved in his life and in his career. He grew up in a family that supported his dreams, that encouraged him to play football, to chase the stars, even when the path ahead seemed uncertain and the odds seemed stacked against him. He was a young man with a talent that could move crowds, with a presence that could command a midfield, and with a spirit that refused to be broken, even when the world tried to push him down. He started his career at Stellenbosch FC in 2019, joining the club on August 23, 2020, and playing as an attacking midfielder. He was a player who showed incredible talent, who wowed coaches with his technical ability, his vision, his passing, and his ability to read the game. He was a young man who was destined for greatness, who was on the verge of becoming one of the biggest stars in African football, and who was on the path to achieving everything he had ever dreamed of. In 2023, Jaden Adams moved to Mamelodi Sundowns, one of the biggest and most successful clubs in South African football. He was a player who had risen through the ranks, who had earned his place in one of the most competitive squads in the country, and who had become one of the most important players in the team. He was a midfielder who could do it all, who could defend, who could attack, who could create chances, and who could score goals. He was a player who had everything it took to become one of the best midfielders in African football. In 2026, Jaden Adams was selected to represent South Africa at the 2026 FIFA World Cup, which was one of the most important moments in his career, one of the times when he realized that he had achieved something that many players only dream of, that he had become one of the best players in the country, and that he had earned the right to represent his nation on the biggest stage in football. He started in all three of South Africa's group matches, playing against Mexico, the Czech Republic, and another opponent, and he was a key player in the team's midfield, a player who could control the tempo of the game, a player who could create chances, and a player who could make things happen. But just weeks after the World Cup, on July 11th, 2026, Jaden Adams was found dead at the age of 25, leaving behind a question that would haunt everyone who knew him and everyone who loved his play. Why? The circumstances surrounding his death remain unclear, as no official cause of death has been confirmed by authorities, his family, or his club. What we do know is that on July 11th, 2026, the football world lost one of its most promising young talents, one of the players who had represented South Africa at the highest level, one of the midfielders who had played through personal tragedy to help his country secure a crucial draw at the World Cup, and one of the young men who had inspired a generation of footballers in South Africa and around the world. In June 2026, just weeks before his death, Jaden Adams played through one of the most difficult moments in his life. On June 18th, 2026, his grandmother, Mariana Adams, passed away at the age of 72 in a hospital in Stellenbosch. The news came just hours before South Africa's crucial group A match against Czechia at the 2026 FIFA World Cup in Atlanta. But instead of withdrawing from the match, instead of returning home to be with his family, Jaden Adams chose to play, to honor his grandmother's memory, to show the world that he was a professional, and to help his country secure a crucial 1-1 draw against Czechia. He started in the match and gave his all while carrying the burden of losing his grandmother, a burden that would have broken many players, but that he carried with grace, with dignity, and with the kind of professionalism that made him one of the most respected players in the squad. The South African Football Association confirmed the death of Jaden Adams' grandmother on June 26, 2026, offering their condolences to the player and his family. SAFA President Danny Jordan said in an official statement, "This is a massive loss for Jaden's family, friends, and relatives, and we join in mourning the loss of his grandmother. We as SAFA offer our deepest condolences and may her soul rest in peace." The association added that Mariana Adams was survived by her husband, her children, and several grandchildren, and that she would be laid to rest on June 27, 2026 in Stellenbosch. Former South Africa captain Dr. Khumalo praised Jaden Adams for his professionalism, saying, "Against Czechia, he had a very serious problem. His grandmother passed away, and he received the news just hours before the game." Khumalo noted that Adams demonstrated remarkable professionalism by playing through the loss of his grandmother at the FIFA World Cup, helping Bafana secure a crucial draw against Czechia and potentially attracting overseas club interest. It was a moment that showed the kind of player Jaden Adams was, the kind of man he was, and the kind of legacy he was building. Information about Jaden Adams' wife is not publicly available. He was a young man who was focused on his career, on his football, and on his dreams, and he did not share many details about his romantic life with the public or with the media. He was a private person who valued his privacy, and that is something that should be respected even in death. Information about Jaden Adams' family is limited, but he grew up in Cape Town, where he was raised by parents who supported his dreams and who encouraged him to pursue his passion for football. He had a close relationship with his grandmother, Mariana Adams, who passed away on June 17, 2026, just hours before his crucial World Cup match against Czechia. He was devastated by her passing, but he chose to play, to honor her memory, and to show the world that he was a professional. He had a family that loved him, that supported him, and that was devastated by his passing, losing a son, a brother, a grandson, and a loved one who meant everything to them. Jaden Adams' net worth at the time of his death was not publicly disclosed, but given his career as a professional footballer for Mamelodi Sundowns, one of the biggest clubs in South Africa, and his participation in the 2026 FIFA World Cup, it is estimated that he had earned a significant amount of money from his football career. His market value was estimated at around €700,000, and he was on the verge of attracting overseas club interest, which would have increased his earnings significantly. However, no specific figure has been confirmed by any reliable sources, and his family has not released any information about his financial situation or his estate. Jaden Adams' lifestyle reflected a young man who was dedicated to his craft, who worked hard to achieve his dreams, and who was on the verge of becoming one of the biggest stars in African football. He lived in South Africa, where he was a part of the Mamelodi Sundowns squad, one of the most successful clubs in the country. He was a part of the South African football scene, working with other players, coaches, and staff who were helping him build his career and achieve his dreams. He was a young man who was living his dream, who was achieving everything he had ever wanted, and who was on the verge of becoming one of the biggest stars in African football. The tragedy of Jaden Adams' death brought attention to the issue of mental health in the football industry, and it sparked conversations about the pressures that young players face, the challenges of fame, and the importance of supporting those who are struggling with depression, anxiety, and other mental health issues. His death was a reminder that even when someone seems to have it all, even when they're successful, talented, and loved, they may still be struggling with challenges that are invisible to the outside world. He was a young man who had achieved incredible success, who had built a massive following, who had inspired millions of people around the world, but who was also struggling with challenges that were invisible to the outside world. In the years since his rise to prominence, Jaden Adams has been remembered by his fans, his fellow players, and the football community as a talented, complex, and polarizing person who will never be forgotten. His voice still echoes through the matches he played. His spirit still lives on in the goals he scored. And his legacy still inspires new generations of footballers who are chasing their dreams and trying to make their mark on the world. He was a young man who had achieved incredible success, who had built a massive following, who had inspired millions of people around the world, but who was also struggling with challenges that were invisible to the outside world. If Jaden Adams' story, the story of a young man from Cape Town, South Africa, who became one of the most promising midfielders in African football, who played for his country at the 2026 FIFA World Cup, who played through the devastating loss of his grandmother to help his country secure a crucial draw, who fought for every opportunity he received, who faced challenges that would test his strength and his will to survive, and who left behind a legacy that will continue to inspire new generations of footballers. Moved you? Then please consider giving this video a like and sharing it with someone who might need a reminder that the most important things in life are not what you achieve, what you create, or what you own, but who you love, how much you love, and how deeply your love can change the world. If you want to stay connected to stories like this one, stories of people who have left their mark on football history and who have shown that even in the face of tragedy, love, hope, and inspiration can still shine through, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new episode. Thank you for watching, and thank you for remembering Jaden Adams, one of African football's most promising talents whose legacy will echo through the generations forever.